All right, we're going to have our Bible time first, and the topic is I Get on My Knees. We are going to do a little review of the history of the Bible and the times that Isaiah lived in. And I'm going to give you guys a little review, and hopefully you guys can get these questions right. The country of Israel, was divided between the north and the south, right? What is the north called? Israel, okay? And what is the southern kingdom called? Judah. And those countries were invaded by Assyria and Babylon. And we're talking about this prophet that lived in the times of the divided kingdoms and in the times of the invasion. What is the name of the prophet that we're studying through? Okay, let's do it one more time. What is the name of the prophet that we're studying through? Isaiah, right? And today's story takes during the times of the reign King Hezekiah, who was the king of Judah. And if we go to the next slide, there are three main characters. I know they have a little bit of weird names. You know, in the Bible, there are a lot of weird names, and when some people ask you guys to read the verses out loud, sometimes we don't know how to read those names. But the key to pronouncing in biblical names is that you become confident, because no one actually knows how you're supposed to pronounce them. So you just become confident and just read through, okay? So let's read those names together. I want you guys to repeat after me. Hezekiah. Okay, Hezekiah was a king of Judah, and now it gets a little difficult. I'm going to be confident, and I want you guys to repeat after me. Sennacherib. It's not Sennacherib, it's Sennacherib. I actually looked it up on YouTube yesterday, so it's Sennacherib, okay? He was the king of Assyria, and this is actually not a name, but more of a title, but I want you guys to repeat after me. Rabshakeh. Okay, you guys sounded confident, that's good. That title is for the chief of the staff. And now, do you guys know what the best way of fighting or winning a battle is? What is the best way of winning? It is winning by not even fighting, right? That's what the Assyrian army tried to do. So Rabshakeh, who was a chief of staff for the king of Assyria, is going right in front of the people of Judah, and he's making all these insults, making all these threats, and he's making fun of the king Hezekiah. Hey, Hezekiah, you have no strength. Your army is so weak, and there is nothing you can do. And the people of Judah, you know, your king is going to collapse. We're going to win this battle. So why don't you guys just surrender and serve my king? And what's the king's name? Sennacherib, right? And Rabshakeh is making all just threats and insults, and you know what he is even doing? He is even ridiculing God. He's defaming the name of God, and he's saying, hey, even your God told me to come and conquer this city and conquer you guys, and even your God is against you. And you know, Rabshakeh is making all these threats, and Hezekiah and the army and the people of Judah could not even do anything. That's where chapter 36 ends. And now let's read chapter 37, verse 1 together, okay? 1, 2, 3. When King Hezekiah heard the report, he tore his clothes and put on burlap and went into the temple of the Lord. When King Hezekiah have heard about all these reports of his country, his name and the name of God just being ridiculed and being insulted, he was so upset. Have you guys ever been so saddened or so upset in your lives? When were you super sad or so upset? And what do people do when they're sad or upset? People do different things in order to ease their sadness and their upset hearts. Now, I have no idea why, but some people eat good food, eat tasty food when they're upset. Some people listen to music. Some people go exercise. Some people go to sleep, and we just try to forget about those things. But Is that a good solution? Not really. Do you know what we Christians are instructed to do? And do you know what we Christians should do when we're faced with sadness and being upset in our hearts? We should get down on our knees and we should pray. And that's what Hezekiah did. Hezekiah went into the temple of the Lord. Why do you think he went in there? He went in there to pray before God and to cry out before God and to pour out his heart before God. And let me ask you guys, have you ever cried out before God? And have you ever poured out your heart before God? You know, we really want to teach you guys how to pray, because when we are confronted with sadness and upset hearts, that's what we must do, to come before the Lord, to go into the temple of the Lord and to pray to God. And this is what I believe about prayer. Do you know what prayer is? Prayer is simply talking with God. I want you guys to repeat after me. Prayer is simply talking with God. And some people go to church for a long, long time. They have been a Christian for a long, long time, but they never master the art of simply talking to God. And there are a couple things that young Christians are really good at. Young Christians are good at, listening to great Christian music or finding great YouTube channels about Christian gospels, and that's all good. But I feel like there's one thing that young Christians are not so good at, and it is praying to God. When I became a Christian, I was in high school, and my youth group took on a mission trip to Mexico. And my pastor made us to do a body worship. And for me, my body coordination is really bad. And when it comes to body movements, I cannot memorize body movements. In mission trips, I'm usually happy to go to mission trips. I'm usually willing to do anything that it takes for a mission trip. But if there's one thing that I don't want to do, one thing that I cannot do, it is doing a body worship. And my pastor made our team to do this body worship. And I remember I was so grumpy and I was so upset. And all of my friends were really good at memorizing all of the body worship. And my pastor noticed that I wasn't very good at it. I could not memorize the moves. And he made me stay behind and practice body worship all by myself. And I hated it, right? And finally, we literally spent I'm not kidding, most likely hundreds of hours. And we went to Mexico and we're doing this body worship. And I'm being so grumpy in my heart. This is one thing that I don't want to do. And we're doing this body worship. I'm not even paying attention. I just want to get through it. And I vividly remember seeing all those people in Mexico. They had their tears and they were kneeling down as they were watching this body worship and listening to this song. The song that we did the body worship to is called On My Knees. I Get on My Knees. And this song is sang by, I believe, a singer who had a Mexican heritage. And there is this song in Spanish, and that's what we sang too. And as we sang this song, the people in Mexico were literally getting on my knees, and they started to pray. And they started to tear up, and I had no idea why. And after watching that, that's when I really started to listen to the lyrics of the song. And it's not a popular song. I don't think anyone knows, but it goes like this. I get on my knees. 왜 웃으시죠? I have no idea why some people are laughing at me, but the singer basically says, there are days when I feel the best of me is ready to begin, but there are days when I feel like I'm letting go. And the singer goes, in my best days and my worst days, I get on my knees. And we came back from the mission trip, and I forgot about it. And this American church, how we're renting this church from this American church. Back in my youth group, we were doing the same thing. And we were invited by this American church to do this body worship again. So we did it. And the congregation from the American church, again, they were crying and they were kneeling down to pray. And for me, that was such a powerful, powerful moment. Have you guys ever get on your knees to pray and to cry out to God? That's what Hezekiah did in the times of his crisis, and that's what we must do as Christians. So I'm going to give you guys a homework, okay? This week, I want you to go into your rooms, and I want you guys to get on your knees, and I want you to pray out to God, cry out to God, and pour out your hearts to God, because that's what we Christians should do. Can you guys promise to get on your knees this week and pray? Yeah? Yes? Can you nod your head? Okay, let's do that. Let us pray.